Wesker!
Thank you, Barry.
Well, what do you know?
Oh, don't blame Barry for everything. I hear that his better half and 2 lovely daughters will be in danger if he doesn't do everything I tell him to.
Wesker, you're pathetic.
Well, you shouldn't worry too much, dear. You'll be free of all this anyway.
Why eliminate stars?
Believe it or not, that's Umbrella's intention.
You're just a slave of Umbrella.
Smart girl, but I think you misunderstand me. The things you mention are nothing. I'll burn all of them along with this entire laboratory. Barry, go up on the ground and wait there.
Barry?
You gotta love Barry. He must really be afraid of Umbrella.
You and Umbrella took his family, you bastard.
Umbrella? Well, I used some carrots and sticks to cow him, but it had nothing to do with Umbrella. I just used Barry for my personal interests. Though both you and Barry seem to think I was following Umbrella's orders.
What? What are you planning?
I guess it's time for show and tell. It's magnificent.
For the sake of this thing.
You know, I hate goodbyes.
Barry!
Forgive me.
No, you're not to blame. It's Umbrella and Wesker.
Even if it meant my family, I couldn't bear turning my back on my friends again. Shit! Damn it!
Jill and Barry together. In hell.
You want a piece of me?
What? Premature.
No, Barry! You viral cultured freak!
Jill!
You made it.
Kill! Use it! Kill it! Whatever it is!
So finally, at the end of Resident Evil, we get to the famous trailer-worthy moment, the Tyrant boss fight, the main thing and the last of the major project innovations that Umbrella was manufacturing down here at the Mansion Laboratory, and the thing that Wesker was in part trying to destroy, but ended up using it as a distraction so that he could blow up the mansion and get away. Even though before he had unleashed the Tyrant, he was in full control of the situation. Barry probably still would have double-crossed him in the end and capped him in the head, but it doesn't seem to me like Wesker had a legitimate reason for unleashing the Tyrant on everybody, because the first thing that it did, after apparently he believed that it was controllable, was immediately kill Albert Wesker canonically. And unlike Barry, Wesker could really only take about one slash from the Tyrant before it ended up killing him. And it did legitimately kill him, because he turns into a zombie in the epilogue, or in the additional canon of things that Capcom made in additional projects. Otherwise, the Tyrant itself comes off as a bit piss-weak after you see that opening cutscene and all that jazz, like all the production done up to paint the Tyrant as this unkillable badass machine. It has the amazing character design, it has everything going for it, it's the final boss of the game, and in the first phase you end up killing it in 4 shots with the right weapon. I was in disbelief after I killed it in the basement because it took like 20 seconds to do so. I thought the Tyrant was going to be this huge stand-up boss fight that we had to run around him and, you know, kind of like the proto-Tyrant from Resident Evil 0. But no, he's dead, and then we can move on with our lives and wait for the rescue helicopter, which starts phase 2. And I think that if this isn't a golden standard for this Capcom trope, then it's pretty damn close to it. The completely meaningless boss fight trope that they do, where instead of actually fighting the boss itself is quasi-immortal, and all you have to do is wait out either a visible or an invisible timer that Capcom just loves to do in the Resident Evil series, apparently. And it's such a dumb thing to do because in order for a boss fight to work on all cylinders, you need clear rules to the player. If the player doesn't understand what the boss fight is supposed to be doing or what the goal is, then it just becomes flimsy, flip-floppy, and they end up, while trying to figure out what's going on, they end up taking damage from a creature they might not even have to kill, but the game isn't going to tell you that. Basically, this entire part of the fight, I'm not sure if you actually have to fight the Tyrant to actually get things moving along, but the gist is that about halfway through the timer, which I believe is 3 minutes, the guy flying the helicopter drops a rocket launcher onto the field. Now, this entails a lot of running around, a lot of attempting to dodge, but since Resident Evil doesn't actually have a dodge mechanic, all you really end up doing is either running around in circles for the entire time, just crossing your fingers and hoping that the Tyrant doesn't hit you in the head, which is an amazingly high damage attack. And it's so incredibly hard to dodge because it just has a wide arc, a huge AoE, and it can just cap you if you hit any part of the slash, which will send you sprawling, lose a bunch of your health, and it's just a frickin' annoyance and a headache to deal with. Kinda like the first part of the second phase of this boss fight, where we're really not sure if you actually have to fight the Tyrant, but, you know, try and hit it in the head a few times just to be sure. So, either you hit a time checkpoint or a damage checkpoint, the rocket launcher drops, you pick it up, and then you still have to fiddle with the menu to actually level it out and get it ready to fire. You fire it once at the Tyrant, and then it just gets turned into a puddle. That's the whole thing. Like, you have this quasi-unkillable baddie here, and it goes down in one shot. Like, I don't think I have to explain why this doesn't make your boss fight look good, or your monster look good, or satisfy as an ending, because it's not satisfactory to do something like this. It's not a good time that the player has no idea how the boss fight is rolling, what they're supposed to be doing, and then when you actually have the opportunity to kill the boss, it's done in a cutscene and you kill it in one shot. That isn't a satisfactory ending, that isn't something that people hope for, and I'm sure that it's not what anyone was expecting when they saw the Tyrant, who I'm sure, compared to everything else in the game, was expecting an upfront, super cool boss fight with one of the most intimidating creatures they had seen on the PSX at that time. Overall, the Tyrant is a disappointment on too many levels. It's an iconic moment, I'll give it that. Like I said, it's one of the greatest designed creatures that I think Capcom is going to get out of this franchise. But gameplay-wise, it misses the mark so many frickin' times. Like, it just one-shots Wesker, just wounds Barry, just so he can help out with the final part of the fight. The first part is a complete waste of time and ammunition because he goes down so quickly with a fake-out death, to follow it up with an incredibly diamond-hard second half that makes no sense because the boss fight does not explain its own rules. And then you finish out the whole thing with a weapon flying in from right field, and then you just kill it in one shot, and then the game's over. I don't know if it was the attempt to make something that felt like an American action movie, or whatever the heck their motivations and inspirations were on this project, but Resident Evil and Capcom, you completely flubbed this ending. Like, this is a fumbled ending. I think we probably could have gotten out better if we had just some sort of elaborate escape thing in 3 minutes instead of having to fight the Tyrant for 3 minutes. That probably would have felt more like a cohesive ending and something that was deserved of the story, rather than, oh, we need something to distract them. Oh, throw the last of our project innovations at him and hope for the frickin' best. But at that point, Wesker was completely absolved of his handlers, so it's not like he actually had to listen to what Umbrella wanted him to do, and it was an abandoned project because everyone who was involved in the project died because they were all idiots. At this point, I'm just shaking my head. Like, I expected a hell of a lot through this incredibly quality title to have something for the finale, and the finale just did not live up to my expectations, did not live up to the plot that I thought was going to get a real humdinger of a twist ending or something cool at the end. Something to justify all of the survival horror and puzzles that we were put through, you know, all the cool levels and everything we've been doing up to now, and it culminates in a 3-frame shot of the Tyrant being completely owned by a rocket launcher. You might as well have just shot him from the helicopter for all it's worth, because it's not challenging to do this. It's not a fun thing to do to just be, oh, we made this creature completely unkillable, let's give you literally the exact weapon that would kill him, apart from everything else that can't, right at the end of the game, right at the last minute. I think that just says it all, really, that the fact that they gave you the rocket launcher right at the last 30 seconds of the game.